Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT Mid-Morning.
On WKYT this mid-morning, details on a major road project in Lexington that will be impacting traffic for weeks, but this morning's blast has just been canceled.
Lexington police are investigating an overnight shooting that sent a man to the hospital. And
it's one of Kentucky's best-known distilleries. Why the marketing of Maker's Mark is the target of a civil lawsuit. Good morning to you. The time is 10 o'clock, and we welcome you into Mid-Morning on WKYT. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. Glad to be along with you today. Going to have some winds out there today, kicking up a little bit.
Feel like Monday to you?
It does, as a matter
You're
of fact.
You're off a couple days. Yeah, welcome back. Right, the wind is out there, not as bad as it has been, and it looks like we have improvements on the way. Let's check in with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Well, the improvements are on the way. We got to get through today once again. Cloudy skies, few flurries here and there. The flakes are falling over in eastern and southeastern Kentucky. And like I said earlier, if we're going to be seeing any accumulation, it's going to be extremely light, and in the highest elevations down in southeastern Kentucky, because that's where we're seeing the best snow chance. It's not much, but it is there, and I still don't see any major impacts there on the roadways because we are above freezing in all locations. So just take it for what it's worth. Mid-30s, that goes throughout the afternoon, and it does not change, guys. Those temperatures you just saw there currently pretty much be the temperatures this afternoon. Then we'll get rid of the snow talk, bring in a little sunshine action the next few days, and I'll show you that. Your 7-day forecast in just about 10 minutes.
Okay, see you then. And in the news, we begin with a major traffic alert in Lexington. The project is still a go, but the blasting that was scheduled for 10 o'clock right now this morning on New Circle Road has been canceled.
Now, the blasting is still scheduled, though, for this afternoon. This is all part of an ongoing widening project on New Circle Road. For several weeks, crews will be doing blasting each day, except not today, at 10 a.m. and also at 2 p.m. Each day, New Circle will be shut down between Leestown Road and Versailles Road. Crews will start blocking the road at least 10 minutes before each blast. The speed limit in the construction zone is reduced to 45 miles per hour. Well, 5 departments were needed to help put out an overnight house fire in Powell County. That fire destroyed a home on Little Brush Creek Road in the West Bend community of Powell County. That's just outside of Clay City. A viewer sent us an eyewitness picture from the scene. Now, you can see the home was already up in flames when crews arrived. Firefighters say no one was home when the fire started. The remote location made it difficult for crews to get water to the scene. The state arson investigator is expected to take a look at that fire later today.
We're tracking a crime alert this morning in Lexington. Police are looking for suspects after an overnight shooting. It happened around 11 o'clock last night at a house on Manhattan Drive. That's off Bryan Station Road. The victim told police that people he does not know came into the house and started arguing before he was shot. He is in stable condition now at UK Hospital. Happening today, a man accused in a shooting in a Walmart parking lot is heading to court. Michael Edward will be arraigned today in Clay County. Police say Edward shot Richard Lawson Monday morning during an argument over property. Lawson was flown to UK Hospital and listed in critical condition. Edwards faces several charges, including attempted murder.
Prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty in a triple murder case in eastern Kentucky. The Commonwealth's attorney filed paperwork to seek the death penalty in the trial of Jack Smith and Amanda Bowen if they're convicted. Both are charged in the August murders of Canny Johnson, Tina Goebel, and her granddaughter, Trinity Maynard. Autopsy results show all 3 were shot and stabbed to death before their home was set on fire. Investigators say Smith and Bowen stole medicine and jewelry from the home. A registered sex offender is in jail accused of sexually abusing a child. Gary Foster used to be a foster parent for special needs children. The Central Kentucky News Journal reports the Campbellsville man is charged with sodomy of a victim younger than 12. The paper also reports that in 2011, Foster was charged with 72 counts of having unlawful sex with a juvenile. He was sentenced to 5 years probation and ordered to register as a sex offender.
A former Lexington police officer who resigned after admitting to harassing a teenage referee is now suing the city. Keith Spears has filed a lawsuit against Lexington's Fire and Police Pension Board. He's been denied a disability pension twice. According to the Herald Leader, Spears' lawsuit alleges that 3 doctors determined that a 2006 ankle injury left him disabled. In January, Spears pleaded guilty to harassment after he confronted a 13-year-old referee after a soccer game in Scott County. U.S. embassies and military installations around the world are on alert today, preparing for possible attacks following yesterday's Senate release of the CIA torture report.
Now, that report concludes the agency used waterboarding, sleep deprivation, and death threats against captives in secret locations following the 9/11 attacks. Susan McGinnis is in Washington now with President Obama's reaction to the report.
The 500-page summary says CIA interrogators used brutal techniques that went well beyond the limits of the law. In all, the report says at least 39 prisoners were subjected to harsh interrogation between 2002 and 2009, sometimes before conventional methods had been exhausted. It finds 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed endured a series of near drownings, which prompted him to share false intelligence he later recanted. President Obama says there was no good time to release the report, but it was important to do so.
Part of what sets us apart is when we do something wrong, we acknowledge it.
The president commented on the report during interviews with 2 Spanish-language networks on Monday.
We did some things that violated who we are as a people.
President Obama banned the use of torture shortly after he took office. He says its use is not only wrong, but counterproductive. The CIA says the techniques led to the capture of terror leaders and saved thousands of American lives. Former CIA acting director Mike Morrell, who is also CBS News senior security contributor, oversaw preparations of the CIA's rebuttal of the Senate report.
The Democratic report is deeply flawed. In fact, there were some members of Congress who didn't think we were going far enough.
The Justice Department has already decided no CIA officials will be prosecuted. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Washington.
A South African judge has ruled that prosecutors can appeal the acquittal on murder charges of Oscar Pistorius. The Olympic runner was convicted of culpable homicide in the death of his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp and sentenced to a 5-year prison term. He could be released from prison to be held under house arrest after 10 months. The prosecutor in the case has called the sentence shockingly inappropriate.
Time magazine has unveiled its 2014 Person of the Year, and this year it is the Ebola fighters. The issue features 5 covers, each showcasing an Ebola fighter who worked in West Africa with those infected with the virus. The Ebola fighters beat out Apple CEO Tim Cook, music sensation Taylor Swift, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, among others. Pope Francis won the honor in 2013.
Kentucky-based Maker's Mark is being sued, accused of false advertising. The lawsuit, filed in California, claims Maker's Mark's Kentucky bourbon is not handmade as advertised. The suit claims Maker's Mark used mechanical or automated steps that require little or no human involvement. Damages from the class action lawsuit exceed $5 million. Maker's Mark leaders say the lawsuit does not have merit. Several Kentucky post offices will be open on 2 Sundays this month to help holiday customers avoid long lines and take care of shipping. 2 of the 4 locations are in Louisville. 1 is in Bowling Green and the Lansdowne Drive location in Lexington. The U.S. Postal Service says next Monday is expected to be the busiest mailing day of the season, with more than 607 million pieces of mail being processed. December 17th will be the busiest delivery day.
Some UK athletes took time out of their busy schedules to help children battling illness. They made some special homemade gifts, and they will be put to good use. Members of the women's soccer team and the men's basketball team got together to make fleece blankets. Those blankets will go to kids at Kentucky Children's Hospital. And while some had an easy time making the blankets, others, well, let's say they struggled with working on those crafts.
I think it's scissor problems. We're good at rebounding, catching oops, and throwing assists. We're not good at crafts. This is my struggling point.
Marcus, you just take care of the court. We'll be all right. The blankets will be given to patients at Kentucky Children's Hospital at a later date. But they tried so hard.
All about teamwork, all about teamwork there.
Well, Marcus Lee and the #1 team in the country back in action tonight.
The Kentucky Wildcats will host Columbia tonight at Rupp Arena. The Cats will look to extend their undefeated record to 10-0. Tonight's game is at 7 o'clock, and you can see it on ESPN2.
All right, remember the crowds downtown ahead of that.
Could be a factor.
Yeah.